Hi, I'm Magda from Crypto Masters, and this week I've got a new series for you. I've called it Anti-Bitcoin, where I'll be analyzing the arguments of skeptics, so people who think that Bitcoin is a totally pointless endeavor. And I'm not going to be criticizing them like an internet troll saying, hey, your arguments suck. No, I'm going to approach them in a very logical and analytical way. Now, some of these arguments, yeah, they make sense, they hold water, but others are completely absurd, such as the one that we'll be talking about today, namely that Bitcoin will fail because it is unecological and it costs too much. But before I go into this, I'd like to ask you to subscribe. It would be great if you joined us and if you helped us grow this channel. Now, let's get down to business. So, Bitcoin uses up 0.5% of the world's electricity annually. That's as much as Hungary uses. Now, skeptics will say, yeah, but Bitcoin is an ever-growing network, so it's just going to be using more and more. Like this data about Hungary is 2 or 3 months old, so now probably it's already using even more. So it's unecological and unsustainable because it will just need more and more energy. Bitcoin is unecological. Okay, point number 1. Humans are unecological. It's really sad to say, I hate to say it, but right now, ecology is really a fiction. It's a marketing strategy. Let's have a look at the newest trends in the ecological sector, coming straight out of the automotive industry. So we have these amazing, miraculous electrical cars, and everyone's like, wow, we're going to save the planet. No more diesel, no more petrol, no more polluting the atmosphere. Yeah, it looks pretty good at first glance, but then when you take a closer look, there's something that the producers wrote in fine print that we didn't notice. Do you know how much fuel it takes to build an electric engine? It takes as much as a diesel engine would use up in 27 years. Now, if that's ecology, then you know what? Congratulations. Okay, what about meat? Why is the majority of the population still eating meat? If we all moved on to vegetarianism and veganism, not only would animals not suffer, but our planet wouldn't be exploited to such a degree, because farmlands are primarily really exploited because everyone wants to eat meat. If we all went to vegetarianism and veganism, the truth is that we have enough farmlands to feed 3 of the current world populations. So the world would be a cleaner, happier and richer place. But that's not what's happening, is it? Because everyone loves their bacon and they're not willing to resign from their preferences because of ecology. What about the World Cup? Does anyone care about all the natural resources that are used up every 4 years to build a bunch of stadiums that no one actually needs, just to host the next World Cup? Does anyone care about this? Does anyone think about all the electricity that is used to light one football game? Not really, because the thing is, with humans, we like certain things and we value these more than ecology. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that ecological initiatives are great, but I'm just saying that we are not in the mindset yet to be able to, actually make these work. I'd say a few generations need to pass before we become truly ecological beings. Like, what's the most ecological thing that you're doing at the moment? You're probably buying paper bags instead of plastic bags, and you're like, hey, I'm really doing my part for the planet. Well, yeah, congratulations, but we all know how bad plastic is for the earth. It takes 400 years to decompose. And yet, when the sun comes out and it's picnic time, no one gives it a second thought. Everyone goes and buys those plastic cups and plastic plates because you know what? Economy of effort for now is more important to us than ecology. So, you know, we all prefer to not have to wash up those cups. So, for now, ecology is not a factor. People don't care if Bitcoin uses up 0.5% of the world's energy, and sadly, they probably wouldn't care if it used up 20% of the world's energy. So this argument, I wouldn't say is valid. Point number 2. Bitcoin uses up all this energy and it costs loads. Who's paying for it? Who's paying for all that mining equipment? Who's paying for all that electricity needed to solve those complex puzzles, all that computational force that we have to use? Who's paying for it? Okay, well, let me put it this way. Let's say you love leaving the lights on in your office at night. Okay, do I stand under your door and bang on it and say, hey, you're gonna get a really high electricity bill, turn those lights off? No, I don't. Why not? Because it's your electricity bill. I care about my electricity bill. So I make sure that in my office, all the lights are off. Yeah, this is what I care about. If I told you, hey, don't drive that Lambo because it burns 40 liters per 100 kilometers, it's gonna make you pay loads more for traveling. You know, you're just like, well, you know what, that's not why I buy a Lambo. That's not the point of it. You know, people don't not go to Dubai because it's too expensive. People don't not travel all around the world or buy diamonds or use kind of designer clothes just because it's expensive. You know, these guys aren't going out of business. Ferrari, yeah, it costs a lot, but does that mean it's going out of business? And no one's buying it? On the contrary. So instead of buying that watch, that expensive watch, some people prefer to buy mining equipment, and they don't mind paying that monthly high electricity bill. You know, it's a democratic country and everyone spends their money in the way that they want to spend it. So just because mining Bitcoins costs a lot, it doesn't mean that Bitcoin is going to fail or go out of business because of it. It's just, you know, human nature. It's what we do. Okay, point number 3. With time, Bitcoin is going to need more and more energy, and soon the world will not have enough energy for itself, so Bitcoin is going to fail. They're going to have to shut it down. Well, let me tell you one thing. Did you know that Bitcoin was an open source project? So what does that mean? That means, let's kind of imagine the worst scenario, that Bitcoin is really developed and it's using up 90% of the world's energy, okay? So you can't even kind of plug in your kettle and make yourself a cup of tea because someone turned Bitcoin on and it's taking up all the energy. So Bitcoin is actually built on a script of consensus. So if this started happening, then 51% of the software developers would decide, hey, we should change the script because this is threatening to shut Bitcoin down. And this is exactly what they would what would happen. Like, sure, it would probably cost some money and a lot of time, but you know, surely it's worth the effort to keep Bitcoin going, right? Or, you know, there are many different alternatives, like the proof of work protocol is what uses up so much energy. They could always change it to the proof of stake protocol or some other solution that would be even better. You know, Bitcoin is not a hermetic, closed down set of rules. This is a very dynamic platform, and we have many changes that are being made in it to make it more, let's say, elastic and make it adapt to the ever-changing environment and technologies. Have a look at Have a look at GitHub, at all the changes that are being made. Some of them, are pointless, but some of them are revolutionary, and yet others will change the way Bitcoin functions, It's an argument that's as pointless as saying that Bitcoin isn't quantum resistant, so it's going to fail. I don't see any quantum computers lying around at the moment, do you? I'm sure that in 10 years' time, we will adjust the script to match quantum technologies. As I said, because it's open source, it's a very dynamic, adaptogenic script that can keep adjusting to what people need. Point number 4. Is the proof of work protocol really that bad? Is the proof of stake protocol really going to save the world? Well, this is quite a long debate, and every side of the argument has its pros and its cons. So obviously the proof of work protocol isn't, let's say, the most energetically friendly. It's really using a lot of energy, a lot of money. It's not ecological. But what about the proof of stake protocol? Now, if you're familiar with blockchain technology, and I think you probably are, you know that one of its core concepts is decentralization. Now, when we look at proof of stake projects such as EOS and Lisk, they have problems with decentralization. In what way? Well, not everyone can confirm a transaction, as is the case in Bitcoin, where you can buy even 5-year-old equipment, 5-year-old mining equipment, and you have influence. You have influence on confirming transactions. Well, this is not the case with EOS or Lisk. Here you have a group of delegates. So EOS has only 21 delegates who can confirm transactions. Now that doesn't sound too decentralized, does it? This means that you've got a group of guys, they all know each other, they're all on the phone with each other. I mean, what's stopping them from deciding one day that they're going to mess up all the transactions and, run away with the money? Well, obviously, you've got the script, that punishes them for illicit behavior or disconnects them from the network if they do something suspicious. But in principle, it's possible, right? What about Ethereum? So Ethereum now is in the process of transitioning from the proof of work protocol to the proof of stake protocol. But it's also encountering some issues. So they don't have delegates like they did in EOS or Lisk. They've got a different form of, let's say, stakeholdership. Let's say I buy a coin of Ether and you buy a coin of Ether, and that's great. We're both stakeholders. But what happens when someone comes along and buys 65% of all of the value of Ethers? This means that they have more influence on the confirmation of transactions. So, if someone can afford it, they can centralize the way that these transactions are confirmed. Now, this is dangerous stuff. So as much as proof of work isn't the perfect solution, neither is proof of stake. I'm sure that with time we'll have much better options. Already we've got different solutions. Now, here we've got point number 5. And here is a solution that was quite unexpected. We've got the Lightning Network. Now, this is something that is being tested in the next few months. Let's say 2 years at the latest, it's going to be active. Now, it's a layer that will be built on the Bitcoin chain, and what's it going to do? It's going to make transactions cheaper, and it's going to make transactions faster, and it's going to use less energy, okay? So already the issues of energy consumption are being addressed. And how many years is it since when Bitcoin was founded? Already people are working on implementing solutions to make it use up less energy. So I guess it's all just going in a direction of making it more ergonomic and efficient. So the next time you meet a Bitcoin skeptic who tells you that Bitcoin is going to fail because it is uneconomical, because it is unecological, then you remind them about these 5 points that prove them wrong. Thank you very much for listening. Please leave your thoughts in the comments, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.